Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I accidentally just pressed end record, so I will be right back in a second. Okay, so we either have the choice to go with them, or we can go talk to Ashton and Zachary. We're gonna go talk to them. I'm not dealing with this bullshit. I have other things to go do. Though, when you look at it closely, it isn't such a difficult decision to make. First and foremost, no matter where I look at this, it is inappropriate to some degree. Disregarding Luke's honest intentions, I've only known the man for a grand total of 2 days, including today. I have no sympathy for Luke. If I'm going to be thoroughly specific, I'll give it a grand total of around 10 hours. By all means, that's not enough reason for me to join them for dinner, even if he says Kylie's the one who requested it. To other people, it won't appear as innocent as he makes it out to be, and if there's one ugly thing about the city, it's this place penchant for inane gossip. One little spark, it'll spread like wildfire. Who knows how far it'll go, how many ears it'll reach. What if Ashton hears about it? I'd rather not think about the consequences to that. I've got enough on my plate lately as it is. Being at the center of a rumor mill along with this man is whatever form it takes. Sends unpleasant chills down my spine. My answer must have already shown my face as Kylie's smile immediately dissolves into a
You're not gonna join us, are you?
No. I
I'm
have shit to
sorry,
do.
Kylie. I'd love to, but I have other things to do. Another time, maybe? A friend just texted me about something urgent, and he wants to meet tonight.
Just say it's a date, Daisy. A little rugrat will understand. She's not an infant. No need for blatant lies.
Heat instantly crawls up my face at his baseless insinuations. Oh, what I would give for another chance to put a real dent on his skull.
What even gave you that idea? And even if it is, why do you care? Stop sticking your nose in other people's affairs.
Oh, your face says it all, woman. You think I won't recognize those longing looks?
There isn't a look, There isn't a look, all right?
Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, Daisy.
You already have a story written inside that head of yours, don't you?
Oh, please. It's not that interesting. The color of your face does suit you, though. Matches the hair. Well, come on now, Munchkin. I'll just buy you an extra glass of that parfait.
With extra strawberries?
Yeah, she doesn't give a
I'll
shit.
get you a basket full if you want. As long as you behave. And no complaints if they don't have enough syrup again. Deal?
Deal. Have fun with your date, Miss Pink.
Luke's already leading the child away before I can correct her. Who cares? Upon reaching the end of the hall, however, he doesn't miss the chance to shoot me another one of those infuriating winks. Does he really think women enjoy those? I'd sue him for harassment, if I can. Though I must admit, the two of them walking together hand in hand is an endearing sight in and of itself. Jesus Christ, make up your mind, lady. Something to mull over, along with every other confusing, frustrating thing about this guy. Not that difficult. Some other time, though, Ashton's waiting. His car headlights have been left turned on. If it's like that, it's probably going to be a quick visit. Although our landlady would probably have a few hundred words to say about this before letting it go. Not many in this complex own a vehicle anyway to warrant this space's frequent use owing to the area's proximity. No one's going to be disturbed if one car stays parked with its lights on for a few minutes. Right now, though, it serves as a pleasant company while I idle inside my own car, thumbing the invitation's fine print, flipping it over and over until the motions become familiar, though. What should I say? How should I say it? There's a very high chance he'll say no, but on the off chance he accepts, what should I do? It's a date. Fears, doubts, questions I haven't asked before, and more often than not, the anxiety is because of him. 17 years ago, I've been in the same position, a different letter in hand. Somehow, nothing has changed. Perhaps if he hadn't noticed how if he'd noticed how I felt about him all these years, he wouldn't be in this predicament. Honestly, He's managed to ace all those exams at school without even lifting a finger, and he couldn't figure this out?
How dense can he get?
Just make out with him. But I can't very well wait for another 2 decades just for something as measly as an invitation, can I? It's not like it's going to be a date. Although, frankly, I wouldn't mind if it is. Yeah, that's right. However, there's a wish best reserved for some other time. I won't get anywhere near. Just keep thinking about the what-ifs. Gathering all my thoughts and courage, I step on my car and gingerly make my way upstairs, step out of my car, invitation button in hand. Ever since the incident 3 days ago, there's a strange air permeating the atmosphere here. Weighted, but the sort that slowly trickles through you till the burden of it finally bogs you down with some kind of disquiet. The days since have been uneasy, and Isabella's absence from her flat does not help settle it. Every day, coming home somewhat feels like an uphill battle in of itself, leaving you spent when you're supposed to be getting some rest. Is Zachary experiencing the same thing? I certainly am. The same weary slump is also on Ashton's shoulders, once I catch a glimpse of him. He's leaning casually on the rails, his back against its metal surface while reading through a bunch of papers. Each one appears more important than the other, despite me having never read a letter of it. We'll probably head back to the precinct after this if he's not going to drop by Zachary's for a bit of a shut-eye. No rest for the wicked, but no matter how occupied he seems, he pauses anyway and looks up from his work the moment he hears my treads. He raises a hand in greeting as a small smile spreads across his lips. Exhausted as I am, I can't help but return it
What
to him.
brought you here?
He hums something inaudible, neither an answer nor a vague hint, before he turns his attention back to the papers. For a passing second, I thought he'd ignore or evade the question like every other single time I've asked. But then he shuffles the documents back to a binder and sets it aside with a huff. Its sound, more fatigued than I've ever heard him from him recently. Either simply there's too many things keeping him busy at once, or his investigation isn't going too well.
Just work.
Maybe even both.
Just work? Do you expect me to believe that?
In a way, I didn't think an important contact ditched me and now I'm stuck would make for a cool alibi. Did it work?
As if there's going to be any difference. You're still a dafty. Anyway, do you want to come in? But if you're going to hang around for a bit, you better turn those headlights off. My landlady's one hairline away from banning you off this place, you know? Stop taking the piss out of her. She's a nice woman.
When she stops taking the piss out of Shirley, maybe I will.
You and your bloody car.
The first time I heard the name, I did a double take. I've heard the name of the name. From the way he put it, is as if he was talking about some woman he met somewhere, surprisingly got along with and grown fond of. Well, don't leave your lights on, man. You're gonna waste your battery. Never mind how impossible that is, knowing his lack of interest for people outside our small circle. Honestly, it sends a surge of panic in me. What if he's dating somebody? It lasted for days, until he proudly introduced me to his new car. His car.
Hey, it's a nice name. Don't laugh at it. You'll hurt her feelings. I'm gonna have to give that offer a pass, though.
He's fucking his car, isn't he? Nothing unexpected, but admittedly, I'm hoping he'll stay for a few minutes. Maybe we'll bang. What? Kiss? What? Suddenly, asking him to accompany me to some housewarming party is starting to turn into a bad idea. Do it. Do it. If he can't even be bothered to spare a second of his time to his friends, what more if he has to stand some hours in a room full of strangers?
I need to get going. I just dropped in to check on something and...
His words trail off, cut mid-sentence on purpose, leaving it for me to comprehend the rest of it. At the same time, his eyes shift momentarily towards the door closest to us. Isabella's unit, eerily quiet now in her absence. The instant his lips curves into a small frown and his shoulders tense, I know work is far from his reasons for being here. Being all too aware of that idea alone summons another dull ache straight into my chest. Like every time, every single moment, he affords her the attention he can never seem to spare others. Ooh. While it is a worry better left for a different situation, it twinges the heart, nevertheless.
Is there a problem?
Nothing of note. Abigail just wanted to ask her a few things. It's related to that incident with Cooper. You heard the one.
Hold on. She isn't in trouble, is she?
No, I don't think so. Not as far as I know. And do you really think Scaredy Cat can do anything like that?
Ashton
It's
likes
just an off-the-record thing,
Isabella,
okay?
though.
Abigail wanted to confirm something.
She knows I'm friends with someone working at BRC, so she asked me. Apparently she isn't getting anything from that company, as long as the red tape's in the way. It's nothing urgent, though. She isn't answering her phone again, so I thought I'd check myself. I can wait until she gets home.
If she comes home soon. The last time I saw her was 2 nights ago.
His demeanor immediately changes. Despite his careful attempt to appear nonchalant, his eyes scream of an unspoken worry. It's almost painful to see how much he tries to hide it, especially in front of someone he has known for years.
What? Did she take a vacation or something?
No word from her, unfortunately. And I don't think she'll go on a trip without telling us. It's been 2 days. 3 if she's not going to show up tomorrow either. Do you think we might have to file a missing person report?
I hope not. But let me know if anything happens. You know how to contact me. I'll see you later, Becca.
Ashton squeezes my shoulder, light as he can, before stepping away and heading straight for the stairs. No, we gotta ask him. His way of offering comfort in the middle of this little mess we found ourselves in. But amidst all of this, a tiny voice at the back of my mind nudges at a memory. Something I've forgotten, and the very reason why I've chosen to return home early. He's made it 4 steps down when realization kicks in, awareness of the envelope I've been holding returns to me. Panic rears before proper words can form or I can think about the situation. Not a second sooner, I'm calling after him.
Ashton, wait!
He halts, 1 foot already down another step when he turns to me, raising an eyebrow in question.
Yeah?
And of all times is this moment when I falter. The adrenaline from earlier's panic suddenly recedes. All of a sudden, none of the things I've prepared to say will take form, and I'm caught between simply forgetting about this or just blurting it out to him while hoping for the best. Should I even? We have to. Plus, he'll be at the estate, and if he's trying to figure out stuff going on, it'll be a great opportunity for him. It's not a date, though. It's really a date. Hopefully we bang. But he likes Isabella. But I can understand the yeah. I can understand the attractiveness. The banging. Fuck you, Luke. Yes. There's nothing wrong with trying, I suppose. I'm not going to lose anything if he says no. Which frankly has a very high chance of happening than the opposite. Though the thought still doesn't prevent heat from crawling up on my face and send my heart racing. It's better to get this over with before my throat closes up or I lose my nerve.
Tomorrow afternoon. Do you have time?
A small frown is already on his face. I already see where this is going and what he's thinking from that alone. Yet for some mulish reason, I continue hanging on to the tiny glimmer of hope he'll say yes if I present an argument good
That
enough for him.
depends. Why?
Well, you see, someone sent an invite for a housewarming party, and I thought you might want to...
Rebecca, I'd rather stand on the messy end of a gunshot. You know that.
I know, it's
at
just
the Ermengarde
you're one of the
mansion.
few people I can count on with things like this.
That's cool. I appreciate the thought. But really, Zach's a better companion. Gatherings like that just aren't my cup of tea.
It's at the
It
Ermengarde
did
mansion.
cross my mind, you know. If he isn't busy with his freelance work, I'd probably ask him too. Actually, you two would have been spared if Isabella was here, but...
Why not just skip out on it? The world's not going to end if one guest doesn't show up.
Trust me, I'd love to. But I promised Mom I'll be there.
Still can't say no, huh?
Like you're any better. Besides, the person who sent this is an old friend of Mom and Dad. If it's important to them, why not? Though, who would have thought, huh? The famous Evans heir used to be tutored by my parents.
Aha!
Apparently, we also
We're
met
gonna
before.
pique his interest.
Wait, who?
Haha!
Evans. Hannah Evans. Well, she's already married. She goes by Hannah Wright now. Remember the couple who bought the mansion Isabella's selling?
The same people?
As far as I know. Unless I misread their address, or there's another Hannah Wright in this city that we don't know about.
Let me see that.
Without waiting, he walks closer and takes the invitation off my hand, gently but with the same force of urgency in his voice. I don't know what he what he finds in it, but his eyebrows draw together as his eyes scan through the little lines of text printed on a small piece of paper. His hold on the envelope tightens with each pass, and by the time he is finished reading, his mouth was formed into a thin
You
line.
never mentioned this.
We met just once. Or at least, that's what Mum told me. Honestly, I can't recall anything from it. Otherwise, I would have told you about it.
He hummed something inaudible under his breath, all while thumbing the paper or staring at it. Doing so will pro-offer him answers to every unspoken question in his head. When he gleans nothing from it, he merely folds the envelope back to its form.
All right. I'll go with you.
What?
I'll go with you. That shouldn't be a problem, right? Unless you've already made up your mind about asking Z-Man.
No, I told you already the guy's busy. Why would I bother him for this when I can go alone? But what about your own work and...
I can make time for this. 3 o'clock, yeah? I'll pick you up an hour or so before.
My head reels, less from what this implies, more from how easy all this seems for him. Fast this turnaround is. He's already halfway down the stairs when any semblance of sense returns to me. Finally string 2 words of protest together, yet all of it dies on my tongue as the small smile he shoots me. He disappears from view seconds later, his footsteps gradually fading as he descends the stairwell until I can hear my own shallow breaths and heartbeat loud and pounding hard against my chest. It is only after I'm standing alone in my room minutes later that it sinks in. He has taken the invitation with him, but besides that, more than that, he has also accepted mine. Calling this happiness is a complete understatement. For now, looming thoughts of the mansion that woman lay silent at the back of my head. October 28th, Friday. The night wears on without further incident, despite the great number of thoughts swimming inside my head. Come morning, there's only a hush, a strange sort of stillness unlike the ones greeting me every morn. This one's uneasy, tight with anticipation, like a string stretched thin, merely waiting for the proper time to snap. Granted, it doesn't make my day any less pleasant, but the edge is there. And as expected, the second I step out of my flat, it comes apart, broken by the voices of 2 squabbling adults, echoing from a floor below. Quiet was nice while it lasted.
What the hell were you
Shame.
thinking?
I wasn't. Ow! Could you let go?
Oh. Now, a few seconds later, they both ascend the stairs with Ashton pulling Isabella by her wrist. She struggles as she should, but his hold on her remains firm. Freeing herself means having to draw blood as she attempts to pry his hand off with the other, neither of which is better than the other. One could potentially end in an accident, while the other means having to hurt him physically. She has a good sense to realize that, at least, however, it doesn't take the desperate edge in her voice when she answers Ashton's temper with her own. So on they go, none the wiser to my
Do you have
presence.
any idea how much trouble you could get in?
That's why I'm asking you for help.
Is this what you've been doing these past 3 days? Because this doesn't make your case convincing, Isabella.
Rose died, Ash.
I know. Every single person in Luxburg knows. It's on the damn news. But that doesn't mean...
People are missing. Some of those are my friends. And BRC's just covering it all up.
You can't just barge into my office and expect me to do anything about it, right off the bat. This isn't a children's game, Isabella. We have procedures. We have to follow protocol. There's red tape all over this case for a reason. We sure as hell don't investigate things just because some stupid letter spooked us.
Ash, you have to believe me this time. If we don't do anything right now, more people will...
It's been a whole week. This stupid letter prank is getting old real fast. I'm sick of it. It was funny the first time, not so much now.
You're the only one that can help me with this, Ash. Even Rebecca won't.
All right, you two are awfully loud. What's going on here?
Both of their heads snap up, almost in unison. A displeased frown is on each of their faces, but this is a necessary interruption. What can they do? People still in their units have already taken interest on the commotion, some taking a peek behind the curtains while others are bold enough to creak open their doors, if only slightly. If they don't keep it down, pretty soon our landlady will show up. Getting a reprimand from her is the last thing I want to happen first thing on a Friday morning, even if this is hardly
Well,
my fault.
if you want to continue this, you two better do it elsewhere. You're disturbing other people.
Don't worry, we're done here.
No, we aren't! Becca, I looked it up. I called them. I visited some of them, and
Which you shouldn't have done in the first place. Isabella, you're going to create more problems for us with what you're doing. A team has already been assigned to it. Leave it to us.
your precious team is looking at it the wrong way. Becca, it's not just Rose. There are others.
The last bit strikes a chord, prods strongly at a memory. At that viscous smile already etched deeply inside my mind, the image appears clear enough that at the mere mention of it, I stumble on my own question.
What do you mean?
The letter, Rebecca! It's not.
It's nothing. If there's really something going on because of that dumb letter, none of us would be standing here. We've all read it, haven't we? But Rebecca's alive, Zach's alive, I'm alive. So for the last time, this isn't a curse. There's a murderer on the loose, and your coworkers happen to be the victims. Give it a rest, Isabella. It's too early for this shit.
Don't you think that's too much for a coincidence?
Not so much. Most serial killers follow a pattern. I'll tell you about it some other time. And anyway, coincidence or not, the point is, civilians like you aren't supposed to get involved. You're putting yourself in danger.
Will the both of you slow down and stop arguing for a minute? What's this about your coworkers, Belle?
Becca, please don't tell me now you believe this shit.
Sure, in a heartbeat, I'll agree with Ashton. That's how it has always been, besides having a very good point. Really, they're the very same ones he'll make every time I ask too many questions. But the fact of the matter is, what he wants to hear from me right now is far from what I've been seeing, sensing these past few days. Doesn't matter what Isabella or I believe on our own. Something odd has been happening around me, and that letter she picked up is at the heart of this. But however I respond to the question in their faces, only one of them will be pleased with it. Well, I mean, you know, I gained good karma with Ashton, but Ashton's being a piece of shit. So, oh well, sorry Ashton. Yeah, well, we're back to normal with that. Ashton in particular won't be too happy to hear it. Well, he can get over it. Imagining the look of his face doesn't take too much effort. His entire posture shifts the moment my reluctance shows, shoulders tensing, brows furrowing, eyes gaining deep. He's already bracing himself for the disappointment, and it will be a disappointment. Not in a million years did I ever believe I'll be saying this either.
I might have seen her. The woman Belle's been telling us about. The one she said she saw in the attic.
Both of them stare at me like I've grown an extra head. For a few moments, Ashton looks as if he's about to have a fit. A pause treads at its heels after a silence thick enough one can almost hear a pin drop.
You're kidding, right?
Do I look like I'm joking?
Really, Becca? Not funny.
Ash, I'm not lying. Why would I lie about this? It's been this way since the film fest. The past few days have been really odd since we read that letter. Last night, you mentioned Zach hasn't been acting like himself. Maybe you should ask him, too.
Or maybe you're all just feeling under the weather.
God damn it,
I'm not
Ashton,
sick.
I'm gonna smack you.
Don't you think I'd know that by now?
Becca, you're starting to sound like Scaredy Cat. Give me a break.
Why don't you?
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, you two.
Isabella's voice cuts sharply through the conversation, abruptly putting an end to the brewing argument.
It's all my fault. This is all my fault. I was only hoping I could fix this before any of you. I'm sorry for dragging you all into this.
She breathes in deep, steadying, and in that moment something falls behind her eyes as she looks away.
I'll fix this. I promise.
A quiet resolve. The same one I saw in her that night from 3 days ago. But this time it burns brighter. Even Ashton wavers at its sight, and when she looks him straight in the eyes, gaze unflinchingly, gradually his grip on her
Belle,
waist
there's nothing to fix.
loosens.
The problem is,
Just this once, Ash.
Her voice, though small and lacking any force, stops him. Along with it, every sound, every noise dies around us, a hush descending as if the world is waiting for her words.
You don't have to come with me. But if I don't do anything, I am going to regret it.
She lays a hand atop his, gentle, pleading, almost intimate if one does not consider the circumstances we found ourselves in.
Please.
Ashton will never tell a soul, will never admit even to himself, but it is in that short second that his own resolve breaks. The moment the hard edge in his eye softens and he relinquishes his hold on her, letting his hand fall limply to his side, wordlessly Isabella steps back and runs off, leaving only a muttered thanks and a small, lackluster smile. Only after the last of her footsteps fade away does Ashton move. Breaking the silence, one of his sharp exhales before reaching up to pinch the bridge of his nose in a gesture of frustration.
did you
and
really have
surrender.
to tell her that?
What do you want to hear from me then? That everything's fine?
No, I want all of you to stop putting these ideas in her head. None of it is helping.
Goddamn.
Never mind. Don't worry about her. I'll bring her back here.
Yeah, Ashton, you did a great job earlier. He's already poised to leave when my own instinct takes over. I reach for him, gripping his elbow with the same unyielding grip, the action prompted by voices whispering at the back of my mind. He's already made it clear he's not going to believe me, but he deserves a word of caution. Who knows where all of this will take us, how all of this will end. He shouldn't be caught off guard, believes, notwithstanding.
I know you don't believe in those things she's saying. And you know me. I'm less inclined to believe in those things as you do. But I've seen something. There's something strange going on here. You don't have to buy it. If you don't want to listen to me, fine. But please, try to hear her out. It's bad enough that Isabella goes off like this without telling anyone. I'm just worried something might happen to her if she keeps at it. Talk to her, okay?
As if she trusts me enough for that.
Doesn't the fact that she approached you first about this, instead of me, already say a lot?
A different kind of trust, granted implicity and never spoken, sometimes too big, too fragile to last. He falls silent for a long moment and he turns it over in his mind. In the end, all he manages to offer is a small nod before he departs and a promise to, at least, listen to her without teasing her the jibs. Favor for me and the least he can do for her. This is as much as I can do for him as well, until I've understood what's happening myself. Tonight, hopefully, where this all started will provide the answers I'm looking for. Except the whole thing's off to a bad start, and all of a sudden, severely underdressed is a total understatement to describe how I look. Car is worth more than my own apartment and childhood home combined. Line the mansion's front yard. Women and men decked out their best also flock near the entrance. Most are eager for the festivities to start, while some are simply idling about, enjoying the warm afternoon sun before it sets. But once the woman standing at the front porch speaks, their undivided attention immediately shifts to her. Presumably Miss Wright, from the confident manner she holds herself among present company. This despite keeping a far similar appearance than the rest of her own guests, or not having her husband beside her. A trait worthy of utmost admiration at best. At worst, she's the envy of every woman, the subject of every gossip.
Welcome everyone.
Thank God I can breathe. Fuck. And Mom said we could have been good friends. I can't even picture myself mingling with the kind of guests she has. Though I admit she does seem familiar now that I've seen her this close. Memories of sitting in a vanity, not mine, being dressed in clothes too fancy for my tastes. They flit briefly in my mind until her cheerful tone rises above the buzz of her
Please make
raptured
yourselves
audience.
at home.
Okay, give me 1 second to drink something here. I wish I could share enthusiasm, really, but being surrounded by all this extravagance, for the lack of a better term, merely makes me dread how the rest of the night might go. Also knowing there might be some truth to what lies inside the palace, but inside the place helps drive the unease further by a notch. Ashton, on the other hand,
Be careful with Shirley, alright?
for someone who abhors gathering like this, he already seems right at home, standing with an air too lackadaisical.
Can't you at least act with a bit more shame?
Becca, if I find a single scratch on Shirley, there will be hell to pay.
Those guys know what they're doing. They're handling cars worth more than your precious Shirley.
My disdain has likely shown beyond the tone of my voice, quite possibly in the form of a grimace. He chuckles, a rare moment where mirth and amusement danced across his features. Try as I might to pull up a stern glare, I can't help but join him instead. There's something in the lightness of it, and how easy this kind of interaction falls into place when we don't have let feelings get too involved in spite of being stuck in this. Brings back memories, however the moment doesn't hold. All of a sudden, Ashton grows quiet.
Chief?
Chief's here. An odd expression flashes momentarily across his face, though he blinks it away before I can figure out what it is exactly.
Ashton, what's...
Oh, it's
Sorry,
Chief's.
Becca, I just saw someone I need to catch up with. Longtime friend.
Doesn't help that he isn't even making an effort to spare a glance my way when he answers. Instead, they're focused at some point in the crowd. His gaze darting between people walking past us, still a small frown forms in his face.
Oh, wait, Ash, what about...
This won't be long. Be careful while I'm gone, okay?
I meet the smile he hastily throws my way with a frown of my own. What does he mean by that? But before I can ask already, he has turned his back from me and is walking away without a single explanation whatsoever. In some desperate effort, I try to catch up to him, if only to know what warranted the sudden departure and his odd warning at the end.
Hey, be careful! About what exactly?
Only for my attempts to be interrupted by a muffled ringing from my pocket. Mom's cheerful voice greets me as soon as I answer.
Yes, I'm at the party already, Mom. Yes, I'll say hi to her if I can.
The conversation itself doesn't last long. Just a simple hello, a reminder to enjoy the party and to send their regards to their old student. But when the call ends and I get to look up, Ashton's already heading inside. With a sigh and admittedly a little disappointment, I tuck my mobile back in my pocket.
So much for date.
A date. Even with familiar company, this is somehow shaping up to a terrible evening. The party hits full swing an hour later. With the host's opening remarks given, still no sign of her husband, the poor woman and the guests promptly fed, the band shifts the melody to a livelier tune. Soon, laughter and the rhythmic tapping of shoes fill the room, all in accordance to the lifting strains of music. It seems fun, I admit. Fascinating at certain moments, the flurry of dancers making the music their own, almost with no care in the world. If I weren't so indisposed, I'd have joined the crowd for a song or two. There isn't a lack of invitations anyway, plenty of them in fact, with some asking more than once. It's only my stubborn refusal that prevents me from joining them. And I can. A single nod is all it'll take, and the evening would be far more enjoyable for me. But pride in my own silly hopes, the thought of being seen with one of them by him, curbs that as much as I hate to admit it. It's all a hard truth to swallow, especially when the very person at the center of it makes denial difficult. Can't even spare me a minute of his attention, or a single glance at me a whole evening. Oh, Zachary might have spoken more words to me. The big guy's busy covering the event to boot. But at least he manages to slip in a conversation or two between takes or a small wave of his hand when he passes by. What's Ashton's excuse? He's been flitting in and out of sight. One moment he's hanging around a small group, and another he's hovering around the string band. He's investigating. Just a second ago, he's wolfing down some deviled eggs by the buffet table, a glass of wine in hand. The next thing I know, he's gone. If I didn't know any better, I'd say he'd only agreed to come with me for another reason, obviously.
I swear, the next person who asks, I'm dancing the night away with. Ashton can go fuck himself.
You would catch his eye a lot better if you wore nicer clothes, don't you think?
Her voice almost makes me jump, too focused on the gobshite water around the ballroom and my own annoyance to notice. If she's heard any of the profanities I mumbled or she's taken notice of my discomfiture, she makes no comment on it, merely greeting me with a smile when I turn my attention to her. Miss Hannah Wright gives off a whole different air when she's not speaking to an audience. Only a bit too friendly for my liking. But I guess that comes from being raised in such an environment to having to deal with the pompous, snooty people. Though I suppose nothing has really changed from years ago. Why am I speaking in this accent? I remember her carrying herself in the same manner during that one and only visit. Does she remember any of it? I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't. It has taken me a while myself. She probably met a lot of people like little Becky throughout the years, or might have already forgotten about me or my parents. People like her thrive on connections after all. Nevertheless, I return her smile, awkward and stiff as it may be.
Didn't realize the housewarming was going to be this fancy. I would have gone with a nice dress if I knew.
Oh, you're fine, dearie. It's only really the parvenus, those who climb, that come to these parties all dolled up. Quite the black-haired beauty, isn't he?
Takes me a while to realize who she's talking about, till Ashton walks by again in closer proximity than any of the times he has done so far this evening. Still, without a look of acknowledgement our way though, even if Miss Wright speaks loud enough to catch the attention of anyone within earshot.
Who, Ash?
You know, you really shouldn't have turned down those offers. If I wasn't married, I'd happily go dancing with those young men. But you said a name. Ash. That's the exquisite lad you've been looking at all this time. I don't know him, and I'm the one hosting this party. That must mean you know each other. Is he your boyfriend then? Because that would explain those rejections.
This isn't the first time someone has made that assumption. Almost every student I've had in the past did. My coworkers more often than not assume he is. A few of my neighbors also think we're an item. Not that Ashton has ever reacted to those. He's been quite indifferent about it, in fact. Still, the heat of a blush creeps up my cheeks, and already, despite wanting it to happen so badly myself.
What? No, that's ridiculous. He isn't my boyfriend.
Very flustered all the
Such a
time.
violent reaction. A simple no would have sufficed. Many here would be happy to hear it.
And I haven't been looking at him.
I do my best to summon a straight face, but before her good cheer, it easily falters.
That's right. You've been staring. Quite heatedly, in fact. Although I'm not sure if you look like you want to kiss him or kill him.
Both.
It's more the latter currently.
Just don't go murdering him on my property. I don't want to walk into a room and suddenly find a body there.
It's infectious in a way. No sooner I find myself enjoying our chat more than I've imagined myself to. Although her attention briefly wavers at one point, she remains a good companion. Even more, once I've mentioned who my parents are, her face quickly lights up and fondness graces her face, despite the meeting from several years ago being a short one. But of course, there are some things we really can't avoid talking about. After all, it's one of the few things I remember her asking me the moment she spotted little Becky in the room. Do you have a boyfriend? Retrospect, it's an odd thing to talk about as children when there are loads we could have started with.
Yes, oh, I remember you! You were the cutest little thing with glasses! And when we met, you were having boy troubles with this lad called something with an A.
I believe I still have the clothes she gave me, chosen, all so I can impress him. Even back then, Ashton has always been denser than a rock, and that one might attempt to get him to notice backfired spectacularly. Sure, he's keen, he's a detective for heaven's sakes, but feelings more often than not escapes him.
What was it again? Aaron, Alan, Adele, Albert, Alexander, Andrew?
Which makes this whole talk a lot more embarrassing. The more names she lists off, the more my discomfort grows until my smile turns into a grimace. What will she think of me? Here she is married to a man she probably loves at that. She most probably loves. While I'm still stuck in the same place, yearning for the same person.
Ashton! Ash! That man is that boy! The same one.
Ah, fuck.
Oh, goodness me, after all these years! My can see why, though. He's quite dashing.
You don't really need to announce it to everyone within earshot, you know? Keep it down.
I'm so sorry, but it really is cute.
She says that, but for a short moment, a hint of pity flickers in her eyes. I take that as a chance to change the subject before any more can be said over the matter. I have sorted these things out myself.
This is a nice party, Miss Wright.
Though, to be frank, I doubt she'll be willing to pass this up. The topic has already captured her attention.
Please, Anna's fine. We're friends of a sort, aren't we? We must be friends, seeing as I know about your little infatuation, Becky.
Alright, fuck off.
Don't you worry, dearie. You'll have your happy ending yet.
I'm not too concerned about that, am I? That's not what I'm looking for.
Oh? And what makes you think that? Doesn't everybody want their happy ending?
The idea of happy endings sounds like they're just for fairy tales. And they are, sorta. I don't think you can just sit around, trapped in some tower and hope for the best. If you love them, you have to fight for it, right? You're not just going to sit there and hope that everything will just fix itself on its own. Like everything, you have to work at it.
Wait, but isn't that what you're doing? Hypocrisy, that's what this is. How dare I preach about something when it's exactly what I've been doing? Yeah, exactly. What are you doing there? And then, I go and ask if I'm entitled to any of it. That by virtue of us growing up together, he must return whatever I feel for him, that he's not allowed to look at another because I'm the only one who has stayed by his side this long. When in the first place, Ashton has always been his own person. This is something I cannot force on him. I can only hold on to these, take care of it until the time comes I can confess it to him. Great if he reciprocates, but if he can't, if he won't. Selfish. I've been too selfish.
But what do I know?
I'm sure the daughter of the two greatest professors I've ever known is smart enough to know what she's talking about.
At one point, maybe I would have easily agreed to that. However, the past weeks I've also seen changes in the way I view things. As nice as these things sound, it turns out whatever I previously know may not even be true for other people or for myself. It is sobering and almost funny how things I might have said with much certainty before now has doubts muddying each of them. But there will be time to mull about these later, because when a hush suddenly descends in a room, a whole different issue rears, especially when fucking Luke strides into a non-quiet ballroom, fashionably late and oozing with the same pompous mind.
Good evening, ladies and
always
gents.
carries.
Enjoying the party. I hope
ready
I'm
for the
not too late in
catfight.
welcoming you all to the Wright Mansion.
Before long, Hannah leaves my side to join him, and it doesn't take a genius to piece it all together.
Welcome one and all to our humble abode. Tonight, if you have yet to find yourself in your roles, you are our ladies and lords of the court of your king and queen, if you would excuse my presumptuousness. So, enjoy the feast that has been laid out for your senses, as we only allowed the best to be served. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone!
His attitude, the manner he carries himself around people, his unfamiliarity with that part of the city. Of fucking course. I should have known. Although I'm partly at fault here, tabloids and gossip columns have never been really my thing. I should have also expected that wherever Luke fucking Wright is, some sort of drama will sure follow. He seems the kind of person who revels in it. Figures it'll find him on its own, even when he's not asking for it. Oh yeah, hell yeah. It happens amidst a round of applause and hoots that people lagging behind the crowd that gathered does not catch on until the cheers
I am
turn into...
pregnant with your little bastard. You promised me you'll take responsibility. God damn it, Luke. I finally got you to talk to me after months of silence, and you do this to me.
What do you mean you're pregnant with? Luke, is this true?
Lies and slander, woman! Security! Johannes, take her out of here before she makes an even bigger fool of herself!
No, you do not do this to me. I was so ready to leave my stupid oaf of a husband. I told you to leave that damn wife of yours. Look at her. Does she look like she wants a baby? Does she look like she could take care of a baby?
The commotion doesn't go further, despite the drunk woman appearing. Oh, a little while security shows up, escorting her. Apparently, she's the chief inspector's wife too. So this whole thing can't get more fucked up than it already is. What a mess. But the damage has been done, and beyond the repercussions this will bring, I'm more worried about Hannah. Maybe Luke too, in part. I've seen the man that hides behind his self-importance and is someone who cares for the person who stands beside him, no matter how questionable that is now. After all, no anger is worse than that of a scorned woman. He's lucky though, and he's not be the object of it anytime soon. His wife loves him enough not to believe any woman's drunken prattles.
Take that troll up out of here immediately, and see to it that she isn't allowed here or anywhere we hold any authority in Luxbourne.
Hannah's outrage is a strange sight to witness after those smiles and the grace she had to carry herself through the entirety of the party. Like this, her eyes burning bright with fury, I don't doubt she can do so much more, ruin the scandalous woman if need be. Shaming her is already an act of mercy, generous enough coming from her.
Everyone, please go back to enjoying the party.
I hope it's too late, party's fucked.
Don't let that mess of a woman ruin your night.
You heard her! Strike up the band, maestro, and let us dance like fireflies in the night!
Yet when she turns to Luke, eyes gleaming with hope, something feels off. Something I can't quite place. Hers is not the face of a person who so ardently loves. There's a lack of tenderness in it, an absence of warmth and sincere affection. It's the kind that constricts,
Well,
suffocates.
that was a mess, wasn't it? And you handled it magnificently.
It happens. We are very important people, are we not?
Sure. No one seemed to have noticed it, however, and at their command, music resumes. There's a brief lull, reluctant pause before this place comes to stir again, but shortly the buzz returns to the room. Dancers have once again taken the floor, and their guests' excited chatter begins anew. Maybe it's just my imagination.
Milady, would you like to dance?
With pleasure, my prince.
The unsettling feeling in my stomach remains, however, even as the strained atmosphere dissolves into merriment, even as I watch the couple lose themselves in the moment, or the people around them join them in it. It grips me all the more when, once I leave the hall, the last glimpse I catch of Hannah is her smile. Thin, unearthly one spreading across her soft features. The porter closes the door behind me with a soft click, but all I hear from it are the chilling whispers. Those that seem to echo along with another familiar grin in my mind. Oh, okay. The brush of fresh air against my cheek does little to help. Away from the rush of the party, I just feel bone tired. It's late, I've accomplished nothing of what I've come here for, and Ashton's nowhere to be found. I'm not sure what pisses me off more. That he ignored me the whole evening, and I might have just left without saying anything, or knowing he obviously has some other motive for being here. Can he at least trust his own friends for that?
You didn't have to lie to me.
He's not even answering his phone. That man has always been difficult to contact when he's out. But you'd think he'd at least have the decency and keep the lines open if he's going to wander off on a party. One that he had happened to attend with his friends at that. I let the call ring for 9 more times before cutting it off. No use trying to find someone who refuses to be found. I can get home on my own. I don't need him. He can just...
Becca, where'd you go off to? If we're done here, let's go.
My mistake. The second his voice cuts through the crisp night air, it's that I've allowed my annoyance to get the better of me. Fuming patience forgotten, I whirl around and march towards him. One accusation after another piles up at the tip of my tongue, ready to be hurled at any moment. There's no hesitation holding me back when I fling it at him. The straight face he keeps as I do so doesn't help my temper either. It only makes me want to slap some more
Shouldn't
sense
I be the one asking you that?
Becca, I've been waiting here the whole time since that mess in the hall. I told you I hate parties like...
And before that, where have you been the entire evening?
Right then and there, I might have forgiven him. He's shown some ounce of remorse for leaving me like that. Maybe he could have looked away, give me a sign that my assumptions might be right. He doesn't even need to put them into words. A single gesture of confirmation is all I need. Rather, what I get is the same impassive look. He does that whenever he can't disclose anything. He does that whenever he's lying. In the face of it, amidst the thick tension, a frustrated huff is the only thing I can summon.
Be that way. Fine. Suit yourself.
No more words. After everything I've seen and heard tonight, I'm already too exhausted for those. So without speaking any further, I simply walk past him and stomp over his car. Although before I can pull open the door, he calls out, one hand outstretched, a gentle weight on my shoulders.
Wait, Becca.
He pauses, his brows furrowing and lips curving into a slight frown. I can almost see the gears turning in his head while he tries to piece together everything he wants to say. Before, perhaps, I might have waited patiently for those. Not a man fond of using words to express themselves. More often than not, any gesture of honesty will only come out blunt and coarse. But today, for one reason or another, I simply can't summon that forbearance.
Ashton, if you're just going to waste my time again...
Becca, listen. I don't know how else...
That much is obvious. Why don't you just take the whole bloody night? Go on. I can wait until next year. Better yet, why don't you just keep it all to yourself like you always do? It's not like...
Rebecca, will you hear me out first?
Silence I can offer him, but whether I'll believe what he's about to say is still up for debate. A very long
I honestly
debate.
don't know how else to put this. I'm aware your parents have some kind of history with Hannah Wright, and somehow you're friends with her. But you should stay away from these people for now, especially the husband.
Who? Luke?
His expression deepens into a scowl at my mention of the name, but whatever opinion he has, he doesn't immediately voice. Still, something about it has greatly displeased him, evident in the stiff note his tone assumes.
Yeah, he's bad news.
Obviously. It's my turn to frown this time. Oh, what does he mean by that? What does he have to do with this, or care to explain? I'll care to explain your reasons.
Care to explain your reasons?
I've not meant for it to sound as harsh as it does, but anger and frustration have never been a good match in me, particularly in nights like this. It's not surprising when Ashton jerks back as if I've struck him. Ooh, for a fleeting moment, something akin to hurt? Oh, well, I gained reputation with him. Shut up. Across his features, his eyes narrowing, his hand closing tightly into a fist at his side. Then swiftly he glances away and shifts his focus on the line of trees nearby, like an answer could be gleaned from the dark expanse.
I'm really sorry, Becca.
What is it for? For the party? The vague answers he continues to give? Does it include all those times before this, the year's worth of it? I don't doubt its sincerity, however, at the moment the forgiveness he's asking isn't something I'm too willing to hand, furious as I am. It's frankly, I wonder how I could keep myself from raising my voice at him.
We'll talk about this tomorrow, and you better have a proper answer for me by then.
There's a brief hesitation before I step away, a short moment of wanting to say more, of waiting if he has anything to add. He's only silent, eyes still trained at a distance. Is the last glimpse I see of him before I climb inside his car. What? The door slams closed with the same force as the anger I'm holding. Its sound merely vanishes into the night, unnoticed. Follow soon after, and shortly we're on our way back to the city. Well, he's driving. Why not just tell me then? Yet even with city bright lights welcoming us, the dense, somber air from the mansion still lingers. The moon is almost at its highest by the time we get back, even as our respective heads have cooled off. This isn't a problem so easily fixed with a few handshakes. Quite frankly, I don't know what will. Ashton himself has no idea what to do when he alights and dwells awkwardly in the middle of the car park, unsure Almost seems like he's having an internal debate whether he should say goodbye or mutter another apology. I could have driven him away purely out of spite the second I had gotten off. Still, old habits die hard. It's late and Ashton's flat is on the other side of the city. Irritation might still rear its head every time I look at him right now, but I'm not too cruel to put up with him. Put up with another long drive, especially when he still appears as if he hasn't gotten any rest.
You can borrow the couch.
Throw the keys to my flat his way before a protest forms on his lips. Although he catches it with ease, he eyes it with wary expression and shoots a puzzled glance my way.
You haven't been forgiven. We're still going to have that talk, believe me. But I'm not about to send you out on another drive looking like that. It's late. Go get some rest.
We're setting aside a lot of loose ends like this, but he appears to have accepted that reason, at least in the meantime. He does give me another questioning glance when I shove past him, pulling my mobile in the process.
Where are you going? I thought...
You go ahead upstairs. I need to contact Professor Andrew.
Andrew? Why would you... Oh, no. Please. Is this that thing Isabella said this morning? Again?
Ashton...
I already gave her my word, Becca. I'll look into this BRC crap. No need to drag the old guy into it.
Ashton, I'ma smack you. Of course, he's still skeptical. It makes me, wonder if he's even seeing anything at all. Figures this curse will stay away from the scoffer. But this is another loose end tonight that I just can't leave alone, Ashton's beliefs notwithstanding. Just so happens that it's one I can delve into using means other than taking a look at the mansion
Ashton,
itself.
do you really think I still give a shite after that stunt you pulled tonight?
No, but this is...
I've spent so many years with him to know this. It's about to turn into another argument. Before he can finish it, I cut him off with a firm raise of my hand.
Look, I don't care. There are weird things happening around here. And yes, it's Isabella's brand of weird. Ghostly voices, strange sounds, and a bloody woman sitting at the back of my car. You don't have to believe me. And I no longer have the patience to convince you, so just leave me be, Ashton.
He doesn't push it, growing quiet instead, although I know he has a whole case of it prepared inside his head. But there's a reluctant shift in his movement when he steps away from our conversation. Short of climbing the stairs, he stops, turns to face me with an expression almost too... conflicted?
Are you really sure?
What?
That there was something? That you've been, seeing things?
Yes, I'm very, very certain. Now go, and you better not break anything in there. The last time I let you stay over, it was that statuette Belle gave me. You haven't even replaced that one.
The last of my reprimand goes both unheard and unanswered as he disappears behind the stairs. Things aren't as strained, he might have a quip or two about that, followed by a light banter. Instead, for a long moment, I am left staring after him. There's something in the way he asked it that nags, coupled with his expression. The whole exchange just feels unsettling. Once that doesn't fade, even as I gather my thoughts, shift my focus on another, even as I dial Professor Andrew's number, but that's when it clicks. During the long wait for the professor, one stray thought emerges from the unease. Ashton has not intended for his question to be a jibe. It's concern. For what, though? For my well-being? The letter's curse? The woman I mentioned? The answers for those will have to wait, however. Finally, the call connects. Professor Andrew's voice echoes from the receiver.
Professor Andrew?
Rebecca? It's late. What can I do for you?
I know, I'm sorry, but this is a bit urgent.
After all, this is a more pressing matter. Our lives might be at stake, and we're still in the dark.
Actually, I was wondering if I could ask you to do me a favor.
October 30th, Sunday. Professor Andrew Clark has agreed to meet with me 2 days later in front of Luxembourg's public library. Ooh, we're gonna do some research. He has the other commitments, but being a time-long family friend has its perks. I have my parents' connections to thank for that. Of course, I'm not the sort to impose on him often, but the situation is... well, it's not entirely bad, although it does require calling a few favors from friends like him. Without his signature, I won't be able to gain access to the library's restricted section. If I want to get into more depth information on the Ermengarde mansion, that is, not simply what they chose to show to the general public, but what they choose to show. But anyways, that is episode 18 of The Letter. Next episode, we'll do some investigation. See if we can find some deeper meanings in the Ermengarde mansion. Until next time, ghouls and gals.